Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. It's a great turnout. Appreciate you coming. So we're going to, as we are wont to do every fall about this time, I'm going to outline some of the things that we're doing to enhance the game day experience and other things connected with the football program. Then we're going to go downstairs and show a little bit of our change on some of our pyrotechnics. Don't worry, I'm not going to do like I did 2 or 3 years ago and lure you out and then start shooting them off. We'll calmly walk through, and then you can see the expanded truss and stuff and see what we're going to be doing as the team runs out this year. And then back up here for you guys to have some lunch. So I'll try not to be too long because I don't like to be between any group and their lunch. So we'll mush through this, head downstairs real quick, and then come back up here. I am going to make some news today. We'll be releasing a separate release about what I think is a very exciting development, that we are going to be the 11th school in the college in the entire country to receive the Sport Event Security Aware designation from the National Center for Spectator Sports Safety and Security for both Memorial Stadium and Assembly Hall. And this has been going on for almost 2 years, working with people on campus, our security folks on campus, as well as this blue ribbon panel from the National Center to evaluate the safety and security of both Memorial Stadium and Assembly Hall. It's involved repeated tours, a list of things where we need to improve, that we've implemented those improvements. It's an ongoing process, and so we'll be essentially recertified every year. But I think this is a big deal. It reflects the seriousness with which we take the safety and security of our students, our student athletes, and our other invitees. And some of you more eagle-eyed folks have maybe noticed some of the additional security measures that we've implemented. It actually included, I forgot my credential, and I was trying to get in a certain place in Assembly Hall and was totally locked down because it was like, no, we got to see the credentials. And I thought that was awesome. You know, I gave this person 16 gold stars because they were doing what we were trying to do, which is be a little more regimented on our credentials. So you may sense that too as you move around in your orbits in Assembly Hall and Memorial Stadium. Like I said, we'll have a separate release on that with more detail. And I'll actually have a release on all these other items I'm going to put out there, so don't feel like you've got to get every semicolon and comma on that. It's not a secret that we've been focusing on honoring the history of Indiana football this year, even during our summer paid media advertising, our commercial with George Taliaferro, reading the words of Herman Wells to the 1945 Big Ten Championship team, I think has been really terrific. We've gotten a lot of great feedback on that, and it's reflective of an interest of ours in being better at telling stories. You know, whiz-bang highlights are great and all that, but I think it's kind of primal that people like stories, and we've got great stories with our 600-plus student athletes and our alumni and our former teams and so forth. So you will see more of a focus on telling stories, and I think George Taliaferro, the Let's Dig In commercial, is the first kind of salvo there. If you've gone to the website, I think there's a really cool story that gives more detail about that. Our introduction to football will play off of the George Taliaferro commercial, if you will, and be tied into telling a story. Our in-game production will feature our students more. I think women's basketball has been a real leader in this. If you've been to the women's basketball games, you see our team, the individuals on the team featured, and you feel like you get to know them a little bit. We're going to try to do that across other sports. So telling stories and featuring students will be a real prime directive as we go into this upcoming season. We've already started to implement that. The Let's Dig In sort of happened organically. It was part of Wells's speech. George Taliaferro enjoyed that part, and Kevin Wilson really grasped onto that. So you'll see more Let's Dig In It's something that the players have embraced. We'll be branding that a little bit in Memorial Stadium, so I think that will be that'll be terrific. Sort of a happy coincidence is that this is the 70th anniversary of that 1945 team. We'll be doing a variety of things with that, and I'm not going to give away some of the game-by-game initiatives that we'll have, but we'll be doing some fun things to commemorate the themes of the various games. And the 1945 team will be heralded and honored during homecoming game against Rutgers on October 17th. Our fine food services people have jumped in with both feet as they do, and for our each home game will feature one of our great bowl games, and there'll be a cup for every one of them. And I think we actually have some cups here for your dining pleasure when we come back up for lunch, and you guys can mix and match. It'll be like Matchbox cars and stuff back in the day. So we'll have the old oaken bucket, and I won't go through all of them, but there are 7 of our great bowl teams, and I think kind of a fun thing that I think especially the kids will enjoy, and the young at heart as well. We talked a little bit earlier this week, I think, maybe last week, on the Cuban Center utilizing technology in football. Football's been a real leader in that, I think in part because they were kind of next in line, in part because Kevin, as a math guy, has really kind of jumped into it. And as I mentioned the other day, his input has actually helped us create some technological advances in the use of the technology, particularly the 3D replay, and we're continuing to do that. In fact, I saw our guys out there, I don't know, is it videotaping or 3D taping or whatever, with that little thing that looks like a Mary Poppins umbrella, taping various aspects of practice. As I mentioned too, we're really excited to get that up on get the free 3D broadcast and replay technology set up both in Memorial Stadium and Assembly Hall. And I think we'll be able to have it for at least one game, hopefully more, but at least one game, so that'll be a little bit of a shakedown cruise on how that stuff works. And again, the challenge right now is we're still open-ended on the south end zone, but hopefully that'll change, and that's an announcement for another day. We've spent a lot of time trying to improve the student fan experience. You may or may not be familiar with this technology called Fan Maker. It's like the Jetsons kind of stuff. It's a beacon that is in the phones. Well, the beacon's at different places, and it reacts to the phones of our students, and will help us to improve the loyalty program and hopefully incent them to do a variety of things we want them to do, like come to the games early, stay at the games late. We'll give them points and loyalty bonuses and so forth for doing those kind of things. They will, this will enable them to have more of an engagement with a variety of social media like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, communicate with each other, send out stuff that's going on at the concession stand, at the varsity shop, and again, these beacons will enable us to have them check in without having to really do anything. And college students are really good at not doing anything, so we're trying to build into that. I'm just kidding. That's my personal experience when I was in college. We'll also be able to do stuff like put a beacon at maybe a site on campus and kind of a scavenger hunt thing, or if we're having a pep rally on campus and say if we document you were there, there'll be prizes and so forth as well. So that'll be a good piece with the students. Also, we took stock of where we were on our various names for our student sections, and realized we had over 9 names for different teams at different places, and we didn't think that was very 24 Sports one-teamy of us, and also spread a little thin our valuable marketing resources. So from henceforth, all of our student sections will be known as the Crimson Guard. We did make one exception for Hoosier Army with men's soccer, because that's been going on for so long and is such a kind of indelible component of that program. We made that exception there. Our fan advisory board has been terrific. I think we talked about this a little bit before. We took a cross-section of IU fans, so, you know, young season ticket holders, more veteran season ticket holders, one-game ticket purchasers, and so forth, and submitted a variety of questionnaires to them on that, had meetings about that, and actually harvested recommendations that they made to us. We blazingly stole, or I guess the right term was, we used best practices to take the categories that the NFL uses in a very scientific, expensive way to gauge the fan experience in NFL stadiums. And I like the way they do it because it's kind of a cradle-to-grave experience on game day. They go through arrivals, safety and security, game day staff, in-game enhancements in technology, game entertainment, concessions, and departure. And we have worked on tools to evaluate how we do in each of those 7 categories and improve that. And in fact, some of the outcomes from the Fan Advisory Board we have already implemented. One was, and this may resonate with some of you, it did with me, every time I come up to an intersection, there's a different police officer there. And the different police officers sometimes take a different approach to how they manage that intersection. And that's been on purpose by our police agency partners because they feel like, especially their younger folks, get experience by being at different places. But our view, and I think the view of the Fan Advisory Board, was that we really pay too high a price for that diversity of experience because it's better for our fans if we've got the same person there with the same feel, and that we have more senior guys. It's great to train some of the cadets, but sometimes it's almost, I think, been like a kind of a pledgeship of, okay, you're low man on the totem pole, so you get the toughest intersection, and that's not really what we want to do. So an outcome of all of this has been an actual memorandum of understanding that we've executed with IUPD to set forth a variety of things to try to bring an improved implementation of our traffic plan, because you can have a really good traffic plan, and we've had good ones and we've had not so good ones. But even if you have a good one, it doesn't work if the boots on the ground, if you will, are constantly changing around. So that's something that came out of the Fan Advisory Board. That'll be great. We'll by and large have the same police officers at the same posts throughout the 7-game home schedule. Our fans want more replays on the video board. We're going to be doing that. New Big Ten rules will help facilitate that. Fewer commercials and more on-court promotions. Also, as part of that, we're going to try to highlight the student athletes. So instead of a nameless, faceless voice, you know, intoning something from stage left, we'll have one of our players talking about those sorts of things. Looking more at the impact of pedestrian traffic on vehicular traffic, I think it's a good idea. Better signage at our gates and for traffic, both on the athletics campus and around town. We have ideas to make that more user-friendly and in some cases more accurate than it's been before. We're going to add more food options and variety at all of our venues, including several of you will be happy to know the chocolate mousse will be present at Memorial Stadium this fall. We're excited about that. And we already talked about having the student athletes engaged more, and that was something that came out of the Fan Advisory Board as well. New stadium graphics. Some of you may have already noticed that we have taken down the quarry themed graphics in Memorial Stadium and replaced it with the graphics that were there for the outdoor commencement. When we saw how cool they looked at commencement with that deep IU red, the giant seal, we just felt that that was something we wanted to carry over. And so with the cooperation of the campus and the commencement committee, we are going to keep up the commencement graphics because we think it creates a really cool feel for the stadium. It's also part of us being integrated with the university. We've also replaced the graphics on the windows of the Wilkinson Center. The president, when I was asking him if we could have the graphics on the side, he said, sure, but they're going to look pretty, it's going to look shabby if you don't improve those graphics on the windows that had gotten kind of faded. So I'm not sure that was exactly a quid pro quo on getting the graphics on the east and west sides, but we did replace those graphics in the north, and I think they look really great. Also, the doors over the east and west ends of the north end zone, on top of those, Jeremy Gray calls them weed beds. That may be a little harsh, but it wasn't really wonderfully maintained aesthetic roofs. So we're replacing that with graphics, and one of those will be Let's Dig In, and I think that'll be a cool component, also solve a little bit of a maintenance challenge that we had up there. We're going to go downstairs and see some of the better, or some of the improvements to fireworks. We've extended the truss. We've added some flags. It'll, I think, enhance the entry by the football team. That'll be pretty cool, and we'll see that. I thought I mentioned concussions. One of our accomplishments in the off-season, if you will, was redrafting our concussion management policy so that it would be consistent with the new protocols that the NCAA and the Big Ten have. And that was approved by the NCAA Concussion Safety Protocol Committee on June 29th of this year. And I'm really proud that IU's always been in the vanguard of student-athlete safety in general, but concussion safety in particular. We were the first university in the Big Ten to have a neurosurgeon present on the sidelines at football games, and famously that's really helped a number of players, including the young man from Ball State a few years ago, which probably saved his ability to walk. We've extended that now, starting about mid-season last year, to have a neurosurgeon. Available at all away games, and I think we were the first one in the conference to do that as well. And then we were among the first, probably a couple schools after the situation at Michigan last year, to put a medical professional eye in the sky up in the press booth so that they can, without all the hubbub going on the sidelines, keep an eye on the players. If they see something wrong, they've got the ability to call directly to the sideline. They've got access to video to replay and back up and look at things. We were one of the first to do that. We, in fact, said, well, if we're going to do that at home, we should do that on the road, too, and took that on the road. And now that's actually mandated by the Big Ten. So I think that's another example of where Indiana, whether it's the Bill of Rights or lifetime guarantee or multi-year scholarship or evaluation of a scholarship, that innovations that we've had have become the industry standard by adoption at the Big Ten, and we're proud of that. Finally, just the oldies but goodies will be there. Don't fear. The fun features of football games that you've come to know and love will continue. We'll have the walk. Hopefully Woodlawn will be done, and we'll do the walk or at least, if not done, accessible. And if that's the case, we will continue the walk in the traditional way. If we have more monsoons and that gets pushed back, we may have to adjust the approach on the walk, but we're optimistic we'll be able to take it from Woodlawn like we have been doing the last several years. Kicks for Keeps, Knothole Park, Red Light Special, the William Tell Overture. I think that's been a fantastic crossover from basketball to football. The fan run-ons, the Back Home Again in Indiana theme, and a song before the game. The victory flag will hopefully fly frequently. The red victory lights in the north end zone as well. We'll have the roving band and cheerleaders throughout the athletics campus and tailgates. Big Jake will be back with our ROTC friends. We'll be doing the Friday night spirit patrols around Kirkwood. The campus pep rallies, we've got one next week. I know you never know where they're going to pop up, so pay attention to social media. Superfan will be back, and all the flags, dorm flags and Greek flags in the south end zone will be there. So that's kind of an overview of what we've got coming up with our football program.
Wow, what a play!